On what began as a normal Thursday afternoon, 12th June 2025, tragedy struck the skies over Ahmedabad, India. Air India Flight AI-171, a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, was just beginning its journey from Ahmedabad to London Gatwick. The aircraft, carrying hundreds of souls, took off at 1:38 p.m. local time, climbing into the warm afternoon air. For the passengers and crew, it was the start of a routine long-haul flight. For many, it was a trip to visit family, start a new job, or return home. But less than a minute after its wheels left the runway, something went catastrophically wrong. The flight signal was abruptly lost when it was at an altitude of only 625 feet. The moments leading up to the disaster were terrifyingly brief. Just before contact was lost, the pilots managed to issue a desperate mayday call, a clear signal that they were facing a severe and immediate emergency. The plane, a modern and widely used model in international aviation, was only 11 years old. It was operated by Air India, a carrier undergoing a significant transformation under the ownership of the Tata Group. The route from Ahmedabad to London is a popular one, connecting the vibrant state of Gujarat with the United Kingdom, and is traveled by thousands of people each year. This flight was no different, filled with individuals from various walks of life, all with their own stories and destinations. The aircraft involved, the Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner, is known for its advanced technology and fuel efficiency. This specific plane was reported to have a clean maintenance history. Its right engine was newly installed in March 2025, just a few months before the crash, and the left engine had been serviced in 2023, with its next check not due until the end of the year. The suddenness of the event left aviation experts and the public stunned. How could a modern aircraft with a good service record, flown by an experienced crew, fall from the sky so quickly after takeoff? The question hung heavy in the air, much like the smoke that would soon rise from the crash site. The final devastating moments of Flight AI-171 saw the aircraft descend rapidly, no longer under the control of its pilots. It crashed directly into a densely populated residential area of Ahmedabad, not far from the airport it had just departed. The plane's fuselage slammed into the dining area of a hostel for students attending the nearby BJ Medical College and Hospital. The impact was catastrophic, resulting in a massive explosion and fire that engulfed the aircraft and the building it hit. For the people on the plane and for the unsuspecting students on the ground, the ordinary afternoon turned into an unimaginable scene of horror and destruction in a matter of seconds. The scale of the human loss from the crash of Flight AI-171 was staggering and deeply painful. The aircraft was carrying 242 people in total, which included 230 passengers and a dedicated crew of 12. In the immediate aftermath, it became clear that the incident was not survivable for nearly everyone on board. Of the 242 individuals, 241 tragically lost their lives. The passenger list was a reflection of the strong ties between India and the UK, comprising media group, close-up of international flight passenger list, diverse group of people at airport check-in, families waiting at airport arrivals at stock at distribute_equally, 169 Indian nationals, 53 British citizens, 7 from Portugal, and 1 Canadian. Among those believed to be on the flight was Vijay Rupani, the former Chief Minister of Gujarat, a detail that underscored the profound impact on the local community. The tragedy was not confined to the aircraft itself. When the plane came down, it brought devastation to the ground below. The crash site was a hostel for medical students, a place of study and camaraderie that was instantly turned into a scene of chaos and loss. At least 30 people on the ground were killed in the impact and subsequent fire. Many of these victims were young medical students with bright futures ahead of them. More than 30 others were injured, some with life-threatening burns and injuries, creating a mass casualty event that overwhelmed local hospitals. The search for survivors was a frantic and heartbreaking effort, with emergency services working through the wreckage and rubble. In a story that seemed almost miraculous amid the overwhelming loss, there was a single survivor from the plane. Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, a British national of Indian origin, was found alive in the wreckage. He had been seated in seat 11A, located next to an emergency exit. He was rushed to the hospital suffering from severe injuries and post-traumatic amnesia. with little memory of the event itself, only recalling a loud noise about 30 seconds after takeoff. His survival offered a flicker of hope in an otherwise dark and sorrowful event, but it also highlighted the sheer chance that separates life from death in such disasters. The process of identifying the victims has been a slow and painful task for the authorities and the families waiting for news. Due to the severity of the crash, many victims could not be identified by sight. Forensic teams had to rely on DNA matching to provide families with certainty. As of 18th June, more than 200 victims had been formally identified, but the process was ongoing. The crash sent ripples of grief through communities in Ahmedabad, Mumbai, and across the Indian diaspora in the UK, particularly in areas like Leicester and Wembley, where many of the passengers had roots. The shared loss connected people across continents in a bond of sorrow. In the wake of the AI-171 tragedy, the focus quickly shifted to finding out what happened. A major investigation was launched, led by India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. Given the international nature of the flight and the aircraft's manufacturer, the effort became a global collaboration. Experts from the United States National Transportation Safety Board and the United Kingdom's Air Accidents Investigation Branch joined the investigation, bringing their specialized knowledge to the table. Representatives from Boeing, the aircraft's manufacturer, also traveled to the site to provide technical assistance and support the inquiry into the cause of the crash. A crucial part of any air crash investigation is the recovery of the black boxes, the flight data recorder, and the cockpit voice recorder. These devices record vital flight parameters and the sounds from the cockpit. Investigators successfully located both recorders at the crash site, but they had sustained heavy damage in the high-impact crash and resulting fire. The damage was so severe that Indian authorities determined the data could not be safely extracted locally. As a result, the black boxes were carefully packaged and sent to the NTSB's advanced laboratories in Washington, D.C. for specialized analysis, a process that could take weeks or even months. While waiting for the black box data, investigators have been piecing together other clues. They are meticulously analyzing air traffic control communications, radar data, and any available CCTV footage from the area around the airport. Eyewitness accounts from people who saw the plane's final moments are also being collected. One early theory, reported by the Wall Street Journal, suggested a possible engine or hydraulic failure during the critical takeoff phase. This was based on preliminary information that the aircraft's emergency power system might have activated just before impact, which often indicates a loss of primary power from the engines. The health and history of the aircraft's two General Electric GEnx-1B engines are also under intense scrutiny. While Air India stated the plane had a clean history, with one new engine and one recently serviced, investigators are looking deeper. Experts note that modern jet engines are monitored by sophisticated systems that track their health in real time. However, they also contain certain parts with a fixed lifespan. The investigation will examine every aspect of the engine's maintenance records, performance data, and the recovered physical components to rule out or confirm mechanical failure as a contributing factor to this devastating accident. The response from Air India and the Indian government was swift and comprehensive. In the immediate aftermath, India's aviation regulator, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, ordered extra safety checks on Air India's entire fleet of Boeing 787 Dreamliners as a precautionary measure. To accommodate these enhanced inspections, Air India announced it would temporarily reduce its international flight schedule by 15% through mid-July. This decision, though disruptive for travelers, demonstrated a commitment to putting safety first and ensuring the airworthiness of its fleet before returning to full operations, reassuring a nervous public. Support for the victims' families and those affected on the ground became a top priority. Air India's parent company, Tata Group, pledged significant financial assistance. The company promised to provide 1 crore rupees, approximately £85,000, to the families of each person who died in the crash. They also committed to covering all medical expenses for the injured and financing the complete rebuilding of the damaged medical student hostel. Air India established assistance centers at airports in Ahmedabad, Delhi, Mumbai, and London Gatwick. deploying teams of caregivers to provide information and emotional support to grieving families during this incredibly difficult time. The tragedy prompted a review of regulations beyond just the airline. The crash into a residential area highlighted the dangers of urban encroachment around airports. In response, India's Ministry of Civil Aviation began drafting new rules, the Aircraft Demolition of Obstructions Rules, 2025. These new regulations are designed to give authorities greater power to remove buildings, trees, or other structures that violate height restrictions in the flight paths near airports. This forward-looking measure aims to prevent a similar ground catastrophe from happening in the future, learning a hard lesson from the devastation in Ahmedabad. The crash of Flight AI-171 is a heart-wrenching reminder of the immense responsibility that comes with aviation. While air travel remains one of the safest forms of transport, this event shows that the pursuit of safety must be relentless and unwavering. For the communities in India and the UK, the process of healing will be long and difficult. The memorials, official visits from leaders like Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and offers of international support are important. But the true tribute to the 270 lives lost will be in the lessons learned. The investigation's findings must lead to meaningful changes that enhance safety standards across the globe, ensuring such a tragedy never happens again.